Well, good evening and welcome to another live stream of Let's Talk About It. We have a powerful packed show for you tonight. We have a special guest. Today is Thursday, February the 18th, 2021. I trust that you have had a wonderful day. I know those on the East Coast especially have been dealing with severe weather. We've got some snow, some sleet, some freezing rain, some ice, all of that has accumulated between the early hours of the morning and much of the day. And so I trust that you have remained safe. If you are watching us by YouTube, we trust that you will like and share our page, subscribe to it. That way you will be able to see us each time we come on. And for those who are watching by way of Facebook, certainly invite you and your friends to join us. We're looking for a power pack show. We have a special guest today, and as well, it's Mother's Day. It's Black History Month, and we have our Black History Month celebration. But anyway, we've got a lot to talk about. A mother is working on fighting for justice for her son who lost his life at a young age a few years ago on the job. We're going to talk to her, bring her in, share information about her, and all of that. Well, it's time to Let's Talk About It. Well, welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It. I am your host, Reverend Edward N. Mason Jr. So glad to have you joining with us. We have a special show tonight, a special guest, a mother who is fighting for justice for her son who was brutally murdered while on the job a few years ago. Let me bring in our co-host, Dr. Davis. Dr. Davis, welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me on again, and looking forward to talking to the young lady concerning her son.
All right. So let's just jump right into it. And let me say to our viewing audience, we were having some technical difficulties, and we had to do some things to try to make this interview happen. And so please kind of bear with us. I know this is out of the norm of what we normally do, but I need you to kind of bear with us. Let me bring in a special young lady, Miss Adrienne Miranda. Miss Miranda, are you there with us?
I am, Reverend.
Okay, let me try to get you in on the shot. Let me just hold on just a moment.
Okay.
Let me get you in on the shot. We are, as I said, we are navigating and dealing with some challenges. So let me, I think we may have it here. Dr. Davis, I think we may have it. Okay. All right. Miss Miranda, Adrienne Miranda, we have you in on the shot. I know you can't physically see me but you can see Dr. Davis. I mean, you can see my picture.
Yes.
And let me see if I can kind of do anything about that. Let's see. Okay, no, that didn't work. So we're not going to be able to do it that way. But anyway, the people, our guests can see you, and you can hear everything that's going on. Dr. Davis, why don't you take a moment and say hello to Miss Adrienne Miranda.
Hello, Miss Adrienne Miranda. Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well, considering everything. By the grace of God, I am.
That's good. I'm sorry to hear about your loss. It hurt me to the heart after I read what went on, that people are not concerned about other people. And once again, I know it's a hurting thing to lose your son, who was 19 years of age. And once again, I felt like people should be more concerned about a person's loved one.
Yes, and thank you so much for your compassion, your kindness, and your understanding. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So let's kind of just jump right into it, because there's a lot of information to share with what's going on. Miss Miranda, why don't you take a moment and share with us a little bit about you, a little bit about your son. I'm going to see if I can't get a picture of him up on the screen.
Okay.
In the midst of, I may have to take you out the picture for a minute to show him, but
Sure.
we can still hear you. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So take a minute and kind of give us a little bit about the background and what happened and that sort of thing.
Yes. On July 20th, 2006, this is, going on 15 years now, my son worked for a landscaping company called Outside Unlimited, Inc. And at the time that he was brutally killed, he had gotten 3 promotions, and he was a foreman for the company. He loved God's green earth. He was born on Earth Day, God bless, on April 22nd. And he truly, he could tell you the name, the origin of any tree, flower, plant, how high it would grow, how wide it would grow. He loved nature. And during the summers, he would work at Watson's Garden Center on York Road. We live in Baltimore County, Maryland. And he was raised right here where I live in Lutherville, Timonium, Maryland, Baltimore County. And he was excited, to get the promotions. He was hardworking. He was a quick study. And on July 20th, he walked out the door and he said, "Bye, Mom, I love you." And I never laid eyes on my child again. And Joseph was truly a loving, compassionate, kind-hearted, wonderful young man. His smile lit up a room. He had strong faith in the Lord. And it ended up that, the police didn't call me until about 9 hours after my son was killed, which seemed like a long time to me because he had every one of my contact numbers in his personnel file, my cell phone, my work phone, my home phone. But what actually happened, which, I ended up finding out through a lot of research, a lot of meetings, a lot with police and what the medical examiners were doing, and one good, wonderful senior homicide detective. But my son was brutally and intentionally punched into the path of an oncoming reversing Bobcat tractor and crushed to death by the coworker, Paul Godwin. And we know this. We know this, Reverend. We know this for fact.
Okay.
And what I have been through all of these years, trying to get to the truth, the facts, the science, the physics, has been a living nightmare because of the misconduct, the misconduct. I mean, we all know there are wonderful police, wonderful law enforcement that, take a sworn in oath, and they put their lives on the line for us every day, and they're dedicated. But there are also some that are not.
Yes.
That shouldn't even wear the badge. And these are the ones that I confronted. These are the ones that I had to deal with. And truly, just the intentional emotional and physical stress and harm on top of the grief and agony of bearing my baby is just, it's compounded, and it is horrible. Me and Joe's dad, Bob Miranda. And I vowed to my son, I said to Joseph, in my prayers, Joseph, Mommy will be your voice. I will be your voice, sweetheart. And I am. I continue to be his voice. I will never give up. We know the truth. We know, the medical examiners studied all the facts, the science, the physics, the evidence, the crime scene photographs. They even did their own reconstruction, and they confirmed my son's death is a homicide by an assault. We know who killed Joseph. We know how Joseph was killed, and so does everyone else. But the Baltimore County prosecutor, Scott Schellenberger, and his lead detective, Carol Bollinger, they went against the expert findings and ruling of all the medical examiners, including the chief medical examiner. And they tell us that a homicide by an assault is not a crime. Not a crime? A homicide by a brutal assault? That's outrageous. That's unconscionable. That's untrue. That's untrue. And, my son, when it first happened, truly, I was in shock, agony. There are no words when you bury your child. There just are no words. It's a pain and an agony and a heartache that you live with. But through the grace of God, and I have very, very strong, rock solid faith in my Lord and Savior. And through the grace of God and the Holy Spirit within me, he gave me the strength and the perseverance to move forward with Joseph. I truly believe that we are never separated from the ones we love so deeply.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you and I have been in touch and have been in contact for some time now, trying to work some things out. We even had an opportunity to speak to one of your attorneys that's working with you, although we know that you've had several attorneys. We know that you've been working on doing some things, and I'm going to put it up in a few minutes. I know you did a commercial.
Yes.
You also have your own website. We'll talk about that. You also wrote a book since then. We'll put that up and share that information. You also have a GoFundMe page up. We're going to put that information up. There is so much that you have going on in the aspirations of trying to get justice for your son. And in talking with you some time ago and kind of getting all of the information. So apparently what happened was your son went to work. He was working for a nursery company, and there was a situation that happened at the place of employment towards the evening or whatever. I don't know whether it was the evening or the morning, but anyway, something happened involving some individuals. And let me just say to our viewing audience that we did reach out to the state's attorney's office, Baltimore County State's Attorney's Office, in all fairness, and gave them the opportunity to join us for the show this evening so that they could share their side or their version. However, we never got a reply back from them. So just wanted you all to know that we did do due diligence trying to make sure that we were fair in covering this situation. So apparently your son was, I think, a supervisor at the time.
He was a foreman.
He was a foreman, okay. And so
promoted 3 times to be a foreman.
He was trying to get the driver of the Bobcat to stop and to get out of it so that he can do something that he was given a task to do. The Bobcat had another person that's known as a spotter that was supposed to have been watching the blind spots of the Bobcat as it moved forward and turned and backed up and that sort of thing.
Yes, a spotter is basically a safety position.
Right.
It's a position of safety. You know, I mean, the driver is loading and unloading dirt into a dump truck, and you know, on that road. And if trucks are coming back, it happened. My son was killed at about 3:45 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Bright, sunny, beautiful day. And if work trucks are coming back, you know, near the end of the day, if a work truck came down that road and the gentleman driving the Bobcat was in the middle of that road, the spotter's job is to sort of stop the driver, you know, to make sure the way is clear for the driver to then go ahead.
Right.
But from what we understand, you know, on that day at that particular time, only one truck came by before Joseph was killed. Only one truck.
Okay.
And I ended up knowing who the driver was and the two people that were brokenhearted after they parked and
Okay.
while they were parking, and they kind of saw what happened.
All right.
But we do know that Joseph he was working at the Windsor Mill Middle School that day. That was his job. And he took his crew, and Windsor Mill Middle School happens to be the first STEM school in the nation: science, technology, engineering, and math. That's the acronym.
Okay.
And Joseph had that job. They had won the contract. Outside Unlimited had won the contract to do all of the landscaping there for the school. And when Joseph got back that day, about 3:30 in the afternoon, his supervisor said to him, "Joe," he said, "we have to load 20 trees tonight for that school tomorrow morning." He said, "That school's going to be opening soon. I mean, here it is, July 20th. That school's going to be opening. So you need to get that Bobcat." And he pointed to the Bobcat, and he said, "Because we've got to do this tonight. We've got to load the trees tonight."
Okay.
So Joseph said, "Okay." So he's following the instructions of his supervisor. And I believe it was a really, really hot day. I believe Joseph was maybe drinking a soda, and I'll tell you why I say that. But he walked up, it was like a slight incline, to get to that road.
Okay.
And he walked up, he saw the driver, and the driver was stopped, and he made eye contact with Antonio, who was the driver of the Bobcat. And Joe waved him down like you're supposed to, and Antonio nodded. And so Joe approached him, and Antonio just leaned slightly out. Joseph leaned slightly in. Joseph said, he called him Tono, "Tono, I need to use the Bobcat. I have to load 20 trees." And Antonio said, okay, Joe. He said, "Can we just load one more? Can we just load one more bucket?" And in the police report, Joseph says, "Sure, yes." And so they had agreed. So Joseph walked past the left side of the Bobcat, to get out of the way. And it says, like, to the area where Paul Godwin was standing, like near him. He's the spotter.
Okay.
So Joe walked, and Antonio says he watched Joe clear the left side, because there's like a cage on each side. A Bobcat isn't like a crane or anything. It sits low to the ground,
Right.
But it's 7,600
Right.
pounds of steel. 7,600 pounds of steel. It's completely open in the front. They're required to have a backup alarm. And so Joe went to wait. And then Antonio Rubio, this is in the police report, says he waited just a minute. And then his next move was to reverse. So he turned the Bobcat wheels slightly to the left and backed up about 3 or 4 feet to straighten it out. So he would then move forward to go to the area where the dirt piles were to pick up that last bucket of dirt. Okay? So Antonio says he backed up about 3-4 feet and stopped. And just before he went to drive forward, Paul Godwin comes to the left front corner of the Bobcat and puts his hand across his neck, like signaling Antonio Rubio to stop. the driver to stop. So Antonio looks down to the ground and sees a pool of blood, a pool of blood. He jumps out, he screams, he's pounding on his chest, crying, begging for a priest. And Paul Godwin goes into the office and says, Joe Miranda is dead. And that's what happened on July 20th to my baby.
Okay.
And Joseph was found on his stomach, flat on his stomach, completely underneath the bobcat with his legs sticking out the back, and the left rear tire was over his left shoulder and behind his left shoulder, like near his armpit.
Right.
And there's only backup tread marks, on the road. It's a dirt road. There's only backup tread marks. The driver says he was backing up. Even the perpetrator, Paul Godwin, says the bobcat was backing up at the time that it occurred. Yet the prosecutor, Scott Schellenberger, says it was going forward.
Okay. I know you have so much information, and of course, we're not going to be able to talk about all of the intricate details, but I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to bring some things up, especially to our viewing audience now. So we found out, according to what you said, how the accident supposedly, according to documents, happened. So
it's not an accident, but they're saying it's an accident.
Okay,
but it is a homicide by an assault by the 14 medical examiners, including the chief.
Okay, so here is one of the problems, according to our conversation, where the incident, let me call it an incident, where the incident happened. It was on the county line of Baltimore County and Harford County or
Carroll County.
Carroll County. So there was some discretion or some discussion about who actually should have been the lead in the case.
Correct.
From my understanding, Baltimore County detectives and police came out, as well as Carroll County came out, as well as somebody, I believe, was contacted from OSHA, Occupational Safety. All of those individuals came out. And am I correct?
Yes. And actually what happened was, on the day Joseph was killed, like I said, it was about 3:45, 3:45 in the afternoon. The Baltimore County police arrived, and Carroll County at that time didn't have a Carroll County Police Department. It's the Maryland State Police.
Okay.
Who are the ones that respond. Like, in Carroll County, they're the ones that respond for any like burglary, any shooting, any crime, anything.
Right.
So the Maryland State Police arrived, and so did the Baltimore County Police arrive. And the company owner, Joseph Patrick Medved, he also has a big mansion right there where he lives. But he actually, when the police arrived, both departments, he said he had eventually called 911, and 911 did say to him, don't touch anything. Don't touch the body. Don't touch anything. And the Baltimore County thought it was their scene because he has 90 acres there, and the dividing line, like you're saying, of the jurisdictions runs right through those 90 acres. So they were saying that they first thought Joseph was killed on the Baltimore County side, but then Joseph Medved, the owner of the company, said, no, he's not. He's laying in Carroll County. I know my property, and he's in Carroll County. And they just listened. They just listened to what he said.
Okay, so as a result of that, some time went by. There was some further investigation that took place, only to discover that where the accident actually happened was actually on the Baltimore County side.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Okay.
I had to beg for a survey, but yes, my son was killed on the Baltimore County side. They didn't even do a GPS. That's basic 101 in police work.
Okay.
And there was one good trooper who said, I think the young man is in Baltimore County.
Okay.
And the owner insisted, no, he's not. No, he's not. So the police listened to the owner. That man has no authority whatsoever to determine the jurisdiction of my son's death. None.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to get as much information in as we can,
Okay.
so we can't dwell too long on one time. And I
All right,
don't want you to think that I'm being insensitive
I know.
to your
I hear you.
situation.
But
I'm
yes,
just trying
my
to
son
get you.
it was confirmed he's killed in Baltimore County.
Okay. Now, there were several interviews that were conducted both on the site and then subsequently days later, interviews that took place from the police department or the state police. Am I correct?
Yes.
At one of those interviews, from my understanding, the guy who was the spotter did admit that he had pushed him or shoved him or something like that. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
And he also said he got irritated.
Okay. So as a result of those interviews, nothing really happened after that. Am I correct?
Well, things happened. I mean, he had changed his story 4 different times, the perpetrator. He tried to blame the victim. His scenarios were impossible. They made no sense. So the polygrapher and the one good detective, senior homicide detective Richard Bechtel, he said, I want to go and talk to the driver myself and do a reconstruction, because they never brought in a reconstructionist. The Maryland State Police never brought in a reconstructionist. My son was killed. There was a vehicle involved on a road, but they never brought in a reconstructionist.
Okay.
That machine could have even been impounded. But anyway, so he went and talked to the driver. The driver told the truth. He was backing up. He said exactly what happened. The things that Paul Godwin had said. He said never did that happen, never, and never did those things happen, the lies. And
Okay.
then they wanted to polygraph him. They wanted to, they had prepared, the polygrapher had prepared to polygraph Paul Godwin. But way at the top, the chain of command in Homeland Security, Lieutenant Colonel Ron Collison and Thomas Coppinger called it off. They said, no, don't polygraph him. Don't polygraph him? Why?
Okay. And so also one of the things that was stated in the report was that the Bobcat had backed over him, basically saying that he had jumped up on the side and fell down between the wheels. But after further investigation, it was determined that it was impossible, based on his size and the direction of travel and all of that, for him to have jumped up on it and to fall down between the wheels based on the position that his body was found in. And it was also stated that the Bobcat was going forward, only to be discovered that the Bobcat was actually going backwards. So there was some controversy in the reporting, controversy in the investigation, and all of that kind of stuff. So let's kind of move fast forward and get to where we are now. As a result of that, you have tried to get the state's attorney for Baltimore County to pursue it and to at least open up a case. And one of the things that he has held his hat on is that you got the medical examiner to change the report. Now, from my understanding and talking with you and reading documents that you had submitted to me, initial report from the medical examiner was not a homicide. Am I correct?
Yes, and there's a reason why.
Right. I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
The medical examiner was not given all of the photographs that were taken and was not given all of the statements from the investigation. So their initial report was basically an accident. Am I correct?
They sent the paperwork in as an accident, the Maryland State Police did, while they were conducting a criminal investigation.
Okay. At what time did the medical examiner get the new information that caused them to change the report? Is that as a result of what you did, your attorneys, or information you sent them, or the state's attorney?
It was on October 24th, and it wasn't my doing. It was this senior detective, Richard Bechtel. He did go out there on October 24th. He did meet with Mr. Antonio Rubio, the driver, had him get the Bobcat, asked him questions, asked him to please move in the Bobcat and maneuver it exactly how he did on the day Joseph was killed. He did do just that. He got all the facts, the information, the physics, everything. And that senior homicide detective, along with another sergeant with him, he said, this is a homicide. This is foul play. So he took his report to Dr. Ali. He took it himself to, not me. To say I coerced the medical examiners is really grabbing for straws. How low will someone go? But Detective Bechtel, the good, honest detective, he went to Dr. Ali, who did the autopsy on my son. He took more photographs that Dr. Ali had never seen. And Dr. Ali said, oh my goodness, yes. He said, I see that it was backing up. Joseph Miranda had no broken bones below his neck. There's no way he could have fallen through or anything like that. When you look at when you look at the different, like the 16 inches between the two tires, there's an undercarriage underneath the Bobcat, then only 9 inches off the ground. My son had no broken bones to below his neck. His face, head, and neck were crushed, and it was backing up. So Dr. Ali said, yes. He said, I am going to further investigate this. This young man was already prone on the ground. How did he get on the ground just before the Bobcat backed over him? And he also saw more reports. And he, so Detective Bechtel really is the one, he was the catalyst to say, look, you've got to, here's more pictures, Dr. Ali. Here's what really happened.
Okay.
And
now, from my understanding in talking with you, did you tell me that the medical examiners went to the location themselves after receiving this new information
they surely did.
Further conduct a further investigation to compile more information to help in the furtherance of their decision? Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
And got right in the Bobcat and drove it himself, Dr.
Okay.
Ali.
All right. And then after they ascertained additional information, according to what you told me, and if this is correct, let me know, the chief medical examiner got together with the other medical examiners down there. They all reviewed the evidence together, and they all came to the same conclusion and decision based on all of the evidence, not just the previous, but all of the evidence, including when they went to the location themselves and did their own investigation. And that's when the report was changed, or the cause of death was changed to a homicide by
an assault.
By assault. Okay.
Yes, that's exactly right. They all did.
Okay.
All 14 plus Chief David Fowler. They all concurred. They all agreed the manner of death is homicide, and the cause of death is by an assault.
Okay.
Physical attack.
And so once that information came in, the cause of death was changed. That was then sent to the state's attorney's office for Baltimore County, who is now in charge of the case. What happened when he received that change of information?
Well, what happened was Dr. Ali sent everything to him. He sent, every, like in detail, exactly all the facts, the science, the physics, the evidence, everything. And Scott Schellenberger, basically said, I respectfully disagree with you. I do not agree with your findings. And a homicide by an assault is not a crime.
Okay.
And he also said that in the newspaper, in the Baltimore Sun, he quotes saying that the Bobcat, it was an accident and the Bobcat was moving forward.
Okay. All right. So he gets the information and then he doesn't agree with it. Now, to our viewing audience, let us also be mindful that state's attorneys all across the nation have always relied on the medical examiner's report. In fact, that's one of the things that they have always done before they proceed and how they proceed with the case. In fact,
Absolutely.
Many times they bring the medical examiner into the courtroom during the case proceedings so that they can validate, verify, question, cross-examine, and all of that. And for now, the Baltimore County State's Attorney to say that he's not going to accept the medical examiner's report seems awful strange. Hold on just a minute, Dr. Davis. I saw you wanted to be able to ask a question.
Yes, sir, because I want to know, how soon did you notify your lawyer? Did you have a lawyer to represent you?
I didn't get a lawyer until it was on July 11th, 2006, that the Maryland State Police called me in for a meeting, a conference meeting, and I could bring family and I could bring, an attorney, and I did have an attorney at that time. Because things were not making sense, Dr. Davis, things were not making sense at all. And the person who became my contact was Lieutenant Dean Richardson at the Westminster Barrack. And David Kitzinger ended up being, really, he was very untrue. He was untrue. He lied to our faces. And he at one time told me on November 1st, he was going to make the arrest on Paul Godwin. And I said, good, you're making progress. And then I never heard from him again. And then I called the Westminster Barrack and I asked to speak to the head of the barrack, the commander. And I talked to Lieutenant Dean Richardson and he said, oh my goodness, Miss Miranda, I'm so sorry. I don't even know about the case. So then he said, I'm going to be your liaison from now on. So I said, okay. And he was very, very compassionate. He cared. He tried. We had different meetings. I had many, many valid questions. He asked me to please put my questions in writing. I did. It was 41 questions in total. They were all justifiable questions. And they kept telling me that there were certain things they couldn't answer because it was an ongoing criminal investigation. But then come July, July 11th, 9 days before a year to the day of my son's killing, Lieutenant Dean Richardson called me and he said, Miss Miranda, we're going to have the meeting tomorrow. It was the day before. We're going to have the meeting tomorrow in Carroll County in the conference room. And he said, I just want you to know, he said, you can't bring in any media or anything like that. And I said, I understand. And he said, and it's not going to matter, if you bring in a lawyer or if you bring in Jim Brochin, the Baltimore County, he was the Baltimore County senator. He said, you can bring them, but it's not going to matter. And he just said, and I'm just telling you, he said, I'm not going up against the lieutenant colonel. He's second in line, and I'm not going up against him. And I said, excuse me? I said, Lieutenant Richardson, you sound so different. What's changed? I thought the meeting tomorrow was going to give me an update, to give us an update on where you are in the, in the process of the investigation. And he said, no, he said, you'll see. He said, you'll see tomorrow, Miss Miranda. So we did go. I was working with an attorney named Keith Franz at that time. We did go. I had already done some research. I went to the law library, parcels and different, the parcels and the plats, and was researching because when I went out there to take my prayer card and my flowers to where my son took his last breath of life, I saw the sign saying, welcome to Baltimore County, welcome to Carroll County. And I could see, I said, this isn't making sense. This is where Joseph died. And I knew exactly where it was by a distinct tree that I had seen in a couple pictures. And I never saw pictures actually of what happened to my son. I was too, it was just because it was so horrific, but I knew where my son lay dead. I knew that. And they brought us in, and and I had already done, like I said, research, and it really looked, my brother helped me as well, my brother Damian Gemma, my sister-in-law Lisa Gemma, all of my family. And we said, this looks like Baltimore County. This definitely looks like Baltimore County. I told the attorney that, and he said, well, Adrian, let's get through this and then see what happens. But anyway, so this Jerry Barnes, who was the prosecutor at the time, he was there. There were about 12 people in the conference room that were representative of the Maryland State Police, and about 12 people on the other side of the conference table that were us. You know, me, Joe's dad, his brother, my sister, Senator Jim Brochin, Andy Apperstein, who was an attorney, and a friend of mine, Sherry. You know, they all witnessed it, both of my brothers. And so, you know, and then behind us was a group of men who mostly were in plain clothes. I don't know who they were, but they were sort of like behind the conference table, just sitting, listening. And I don't know if they were lawyers. I don't, you know, for the Maryland State Police, I don't know. But anyway, during this meeting, they kept trying to say that Lieutenant Richardson opened and he said, we're here, we brought you in today, Miss Miranda and Mr. Miranda, and we're here to tell you that your son's case is closed and it's declared an accident. Well, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. Neither could Bob, Joe's dad, my whole family. And I said, how can you call this an accident? How? You have the facts, the physics, the evidence. The medical examiner sent you a letter, you know, stating that they wanted further investigation. At that time, they had declared it undetermined with a strong possibility of homicide, but they wanted more investigation. And I said, we know it was backing up over my son. We know he was prone on the ground. Why are you saying these things that don't make any sense? They're impossible. And I also said, why did you never bring in a reconstructionist? Why? And the reconstructionist who was there for the Maryland State Police said, Miss Miranda, I was never called. I was never called to the scene. And then I asked Corporal Kitzinger, who was sitting right across from me, where is Detective Richard Bechtel's report? Now, he is the senior detective who went out there, who had the reconstruction done, and he went right with Corporal Kitzinger, who was the one they first put on my son's case. And they went together. And when I asked that question, see, they didn't know I knew about Detective Bechtel, but I knew because the medical examiner told me.
Okay.
He told, right, you know, that he had come and he had showed him everything and brought more photographs.
So what did they say when you asked where was he at?
So I said, you know, where is Detective Richard Bechtel's report? And Corporal Kitzinger looked right at us and said, who's he? Like he didn't even know him. I almost fell off the chair. And then the one to the left of him was this Lieutenant Colonel Ron Paulison, who is with Homeland Security, who heads homicide, who heads drug enforcement, who heads immigration. And he turns beet red in the face. I mean, beet red. Puts his head down and says, just keep going, just keep going. Like we couldn't ask any more questions about Detective Bechtel. We couldn't ask anything about, like, why are you lying? Like, why are you doing this to us? Why? And it was just lie after lie. They kept trying. They got up to the drawing board, and you know, Kitzinger was saying that that it went forward over Joseph the tire. It went forward over Joseph, and we're saying that my brother got up and said, no, there's only backup tread marks. And he's trying to say, well, the tire sat on your son's head. It sat on your son. It went back, then sat on your son's head and rolled forward and then back again. And like, you know, my son the tire didn't go over his head twice.
Okay.
Dr. Ali and all the medical examiners said, no, that never did that happen.
Okay, so what was the result of that meeting? Y'all came out of there with them saying the case was closed, no further action was going to happen.
Right, and I said also to this Corporal David Kitzinger, who is horrible, horrible. He just, it's inconceivable, unconscionable what these people did. I said to him, you have Dr. Ali's letter. Where's Dr. Ali's letter? You have it. And he was real hesitant. And then Lieutenant Richardson kind of looked at him, and then he pulled it, reluctantly out of the bottom of his pile of papers. And we said, please read it. And he said, no, I'm not reading it. Here, you read it. And he threw it over to Bob and I. And Bob read it. And I mean, we were in tears because it did say,
Right.
Joseph was lying flat on the ground.
Right.
It said, it was he was backed up over, he was crushed to death, and there was undisturbed brain matter
Okay.
in front of my son's skull. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I got exactly what you're saying.
Right.
And I'm trying not to push the issue.
At the end, I said, I did look at Lieutenant Richardson, and I said, Lieutenant Richardson, who is responsible for everything that happened here today? Who? And he said, he is. He is. And he pointed directly to Lieutenant Colonel Ron Collison with Homeland Security.
All right. Okay. So from that point, I guess you went back at the state's attorney for Baltimore County, trying
Yes.
to get them to open an investigation.
Yes,
to
because my attorney did say at that time, Miss Miranda believes her son was killed in Baltimore County, not even Carroll County, and that Jerry Barnes was the prosecutor then. He got up, he started screaming like a maniac. He also threatened us not to go to the media, and he got up like a maniac and said, I know my county, and he just ran out of the room. He
Okay.
ran out of the room.
Okay, time is running out, so let me try to get some other things.
So then Scott Schellenberger did get the case. I had to beg him to do a survey. He wouldn't do it at first, then he finally did. And then it was confirmed my son was killed in Baltimore County. So
Okay.
he promised me and my brother that he would do a complete, thorough homicide investigation, completely independent from what the Maryland State Police did.
Did that ever happen?
No,
Okay.
no.
What was his reason for saying that it didn't happen?
He didn't say it didn't happen. He wants to still say it did, but I contacted Central Records for both departments, exercised my Freedom of Information Act rights, because when they're saying it's an accident, every person has a legal right to do so. And it was like 24 pages. The total report was like 24 pages. They never interviewed the names I gave them to interview when Carol Ballinger, the detective, and Sergeant Lawrence Gick came to my home, and I gave them names and told them why they needed to be questioned. They never interviewed them at all.
Okay.
Never.
So what was What was the findings of the report?
That it was an accident.
Okay.
Just the same thing. That it was going forward, that it was an accident, and that was it.
Okay. And so since then, what you have been trying to get the Baltimore County State's Attorney's Office to do is to at least present all of the evidence to a grand jury and let them make a decision based on all of the evidence. Am I correct?
Exactly.
And at this point, that has not happened, right?
No.
Okay.
He won't even bring in a grand jury. No, he will not.
Okay. Okay. So since then, you have written a book. Let me put that book up that you have written. We have to do several things. I'm trying to make this happen. I want to put up the book that she has written for her son. The book is entitled, and it's up on the screen, The Scent of My Son. In God We Trust. You wrote that book as it relates to your feelings and what happened and the love for your son. Am I correct?
Yes. It's the true story of what happened to my baby boy, to my child, and the literal hell that I have been put through, and everything that happened, all the details, all the facts, what is at the root of all of this. We do believe strongly that the owner of the company is at the root of all of this. and the power that that man has. He's powerfully connected. He's politically connected, and I found out so much.
Okay.
I found out so much, and it's all in the book. It's
Okay.
all in the
Also,
book. And this should not be happening to any parent anywhere in our country, anywhere in the world. This should not be happening. And I'm advocating now, certainly for my son, but for all parents who have buried their precious children and are crying out for justice, and they're not getting anything but being beaten down and lied to.
all right, Miss Miranda, where can folk get the book? Is it on all of the book distributing places, Amazon and all of those places?
Yes, Amazon mostly, and then of course Barnes and Noble, and anywhere you would, find a book. But it's also a book of faith.
Okay.
I mean, without my faith, I really don't know that I would have survived. I really don't. And now I'm thriving because of the grace of God. I'm thriving because of His mercy and grace.
Okay.
And there's scripture in the book, but again, it's a book of faith, and it's a book of truth, and it's a book of what a parent goes through when you've been dealing with corrupt police and law enforcement and prosecutors and a broken judicial system.
Okay. So once again, I have placed your son's picture up on the screen so that our viewing audience can see your son Joseph. Also, since then, you have you've started a
justice campaign.
Right. You've got your own website. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
Let me see. I'm trying to find it here. I believe this is it. Well, this is about the book. Let me go back to trying to navigate. I've got so much information that you've sent me. I'm trying to get it up on the screen here. Let's see. Let me see. Where is it at? The website that you have. Okay, I have that up on the screen. It's pleasedoyourjob.com.
Yes.
Is the website. And on that website, again, there is a picture of Joseph's faces on there. Also, there is links that folk can click if they desire. Also, you have a petition page.
Yes.
You are trying to get folk to sign the petition. Am I correct?
Yes. In agreement to stand up for justice.
Okay.
And to agree that the state's attorney should be calling in a grand jury.
Okay.
Yes.
So
and
we have that up on the screen.
I have about 16,000 signatures, but I'm trying to get as many as I possibly can.
Okay. And also you have a GoFundMe page where you have a goal of $10,000. And so far, according to your page, we're seeing it up on the screen, you've raised $9,730 so far.
Yeah. And I am so grateful to all the wonderful, beautiful, compassionate hearts,
yes,
the generous, compassionate hearts that are standing up for justice and doing the right thing.
And for our viewing audience, let me just say, I did personally make a donation to the GoFundMe account, and I have also signed the petition.
Thank you, Reverend.
For this cause. As she has shared and stated, this is not just for her and her son, but it also will help to deal with issues that other families are going through. Not only that, you also have, let me see if I can find it. You also did a commercial.
Yes, on Fox 45.
Fox 45, you did a commercial. Let me go to that commercial.
That's what the GoFundMe, the money raised went towards. It's very expensive for advertising.
And you're also trying to get a billboard put up somewhere, correct? Am I correct?
Trying to do that next, to get a billboard.
All right.
And Also, I'm working with the General Assembly. I have several senators who are putting forth House bills before the Judiciary Committee to abolish qualified immunity.
Okay.
And qualified immunity is a law that gives police and prosecutors a green light to do an act in any way they choose without ever being held accountable.
Okay.
For anything.
All right.
For anything.
I'm going to share your commercial.
My son, Joseph Miranda, was killed on July 20th, 2006 at work. He was pushed into the path of a Bobcat tractor driving in reverse. Joseph was crushed to death. His co-worker admitted to pushing him. Medical examiners confirmed my son died because of a homicide by assault. The Baltimore County State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger refuses to do his job and present Joseph's case to a grand jury. Thousands of Marylanders have signed a petition urging him to do his job. Please sign my petition at pleasedoyourjob.com.
All right, and so that's the commercial that you have had put together. We put up the book on the screen so that people could see. We put up the information about the petition. We put up the website. All of the information we have put up there for people to see.
And I do want to add, Reverend, if I may,
Sure.
that on the day my son was killed and he was laying crushed to death on his stomach underneath that Bobcat, and there was yellow crime scene tape. And the Maryland State Police let the owner get inside the yellow crime scene tape and try to disturb the crime scene, the owner. And he dragged my son's right foot forward like 4 inches, and he was in there for 2.5 hours. That's a felony. That's a felony. Why? You can't disturb a crime scene. But the Maryland State Police, especially Rebecca Bosley, the trooper, she let him. And it's even in his own deposition, like as if he can do whatever he wants. What in the world? And no one will touch him. No one will prosecute him. There was no backup alarm on that Bobcat. We know that there wasn't. That wouldn't have made any difference. I don't think that would have made any difference. Maybe my son was very quick. He was agile. He was a wrestler in high school, and as soon as that goes into reverse, the beep, 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 that goes up. But it didn't have a backup alarm.
Okay.
And he was trying to create a forward motion, making it a forward motion, because he thought he was going to be sued, sued big time.
Well, certainly there's been a lot of inconsistencies or at least some suspicious behavior based on the information that you've shared, some of the reports that we have read that you've submitted and that sort of thing. To our viewers, let me encourage you to reach out to us if you want to be able to get more information about Miss Miranda's situation, her website where you can go and get all of the information about the case. She has documents there. As you can tell, she's very familiar with this case. She knows dates. She knows times. She knows individuals. She can repeat to you what happened because she is a investigative mother that is on the case trying to get justice for her son. Dr. Davis, any final words for Miss Miranda?
Once again, I just want to know, I'm sorry to hear of your loss, but my concern is to get things done, you really need a lawyer. You need a good lawyer that can do his investigation, because if you have 14 medical examiners plus the chief medical, and they're telling you that it's a homicide, once again, I don't see how they can turn it around and say, no, it was an accident. So I'm just saying a good lawyer would dig into it and find out exactly what happened, especially if they got pictures of everything that took place. So my
Yes.
prayers are with you,
Davis.
and I'm going to do my best to support you as well.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Davis, so much. And a big piece of it is the qualified immunity. That's a big piece of it. Because they have immunity, it's like no one can touch them. So I pray that, these legislators, in the General Assembly session, that they get these qualified immunity laws abolished and reformed. They are against the people. They are unjust. They are against the people. They are antiquated. They make no sense. And also MOSH, the Maryland Occupation of Safety and Health, they sent a compliance officer out there to test the Bobcat. He was supposed to get in the Bobcat, make sure it was safe, that it was, not ill-equipped, that it did have a backup alarm. He never got in it. He never touched it. Brian Timberlake, he went there and never touched the Bobcat. Well, why did he go at all? He never touched it. And even in deposition, he said, well, the company owner said it was okay, so I just took his word for it. What? These people aren't doing their job.
Well, certainly there seems to be some inconsistencies, some irregularities, and some wrongdoing, even if it's just in procedures being followed. And so, as I've done in the past, I have had prayer with you, and I've let you know that I'm continuing to keep you in prayer. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to present your information, and so that people would be able to share and know what's going on and to participate. And so I want to say thank you for your time. I know it's always sensitive when you go over it and you go into details, and it's emotional. Certainly, I'm fighting back the tears. I'm a parent. I can't imagine. I did lose a daughter last year, but it wasn't to a situation like this. But the loss is a loss.
Yes.
Is a loss, and this type of loss is even more traumatic. And so we will continue to keep you in prayer. We will continue to monitor and support you in ways that we can. And certainly we will probably have you back on the show for an update on where things stand. We're going to encourage our viewing audience to sign the petition, and those who can.
Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Even if it's a small amount, we're going to encourage individuals to go to your GoFundMe page and to help you, because that amount that you have already raised have already literally been spent. Commercials are not cheap, and even to go into the next phase of what you're doing is going to cost more resources, and even to get a qualified, competent, recognized attorney to.
I do have a qualified attorney.
Okay.
That is with me, has been with me for 5 years. He's a wonderful gentleman, wonderful, and he knows it's all true.
Okay.
We even contacted the governor, and Pete Landon, his chief of staff. I've talked to everyone and reached out to everyone at every level of government, from local, state, federal. It's all in my book.
Well, I know you have, because you've sent me copies of the emails that you sent, the letters that you sent. So I've seen them, and I've seen the response from the members from the governor's office and legislators and that. So I know that you've been in touch with me. So I just wanted our people to know that, yes, we have been in touch with you for some time and been following along with this case. Well, Ms. Miranda,
I will continue to be my son's voice and the voice of any other parents, that if I can be of any help to them.
All right. Well, I'm certainly, some other people will probably reach out to you for more information, find out ways that they can help and support you. But we wanted to give you the opportunity to share on this evening. Know that we are still praying for you, not just you, but for your entire family. And our prayer is that God's will would be done, and that you would be able to find justice for Joseph's death. All right.
Thank you, Reverend, so much.
God bless you
so much. God bless you.
We'll be in touch.
God bless you. God bless you, Dr. Davis. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Bless you.
All
Bless
right.
you.
You have a great day.
You do the same, and thank you so much.
All right. All right. So you've had it, my friends. You've seen it. Miss Miranda has shared her information. We encourage you to go to the website. If you need more information about that, please reach out to me, and certainly we will get that to you. In our closing this evening, we will also bring in our illustrious Black History Month presenter, who did an outstanding job last week, Miss Marjorie Lilly. Welcome. I call her my Nubian queen. She is Afrocentric. Dr. Davis, she did
Yes,
such
sir.
an outstanding job last week. We're going to bring her back in, and she has agreed to finish out the month with our Black history. And I know we're a little over our time, but we're going to take time to get this information in. So, Sister,
Amen.
why don't you take it away?
Good evening, everyone. Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Today, I decided to name this piece "Let's Talk About It," Reverend Mason.
Wow.
They say it's key. Well, let's talk about it and see. Our children have been brought up to think that it's all right that everything is discovered or invented by people that are white. Well, let's just take a good look at what you can find in the history book. Or Walter Salmon, a Black man, invented the comb, and Lydia Newman, a Black female, invented the brush. So why all of this hush hush? Madam C.J. Walker, a self-made Black millionaire, she invented products for our hair. Lord P. Ray invented the dustpan, and Thomas Stewart the mop. The list goes on and on. It's just nonstop. There are so many Black inventors, so I'm not going to take the time to make them all rhyme, but I will go back to the Black inventors list. Now, just listen to this. Sarah Boone invented the ironing board, a Black woman. George T. Salmon invented the clothes dryer, a Black man. John Love invented the pencil sharpener, and William Purvis invented the fountain pen. The typewriter by Lee Burridge, W.A. Lovett, the printing press. Joseph Gamble invented the supercharged system for combustion engines, the automatic gear shift by Richard Spike. All Black people. Well, if it wasn't for Garrett Morgan, who invented the traffic light, we would all be running into each other. On those days and nights when it gets cold, just remember Alice Parker, a Black woman inventing the heating machine. On the days and nights when it gets so hot, it was Frederick Jones who invented the air conditioner. Before there was a bus, there was a trolley. A Black man, Albert Robinson, invented the electric trolley. John Standard invented the refrigerator. When you go into a building and you need to go to the 15th floor, just get on the elevator, invented by Alexander Miles. So you think Thomas Edison invented the light bulb? Well, that bulb would not have worked if Lewis Howard Latimer had not invented the filament that goes inside of the bulb. Dr. Charles Drew, a Black scientist, figured out how to store and preserve blood. He started the world's first blood bank. Dr. Daniel Hale performed the world's first open heart surgery. Now, this one will shock you. Do you know who is responsible for Crest toothpaste, Folgers coffee, Safeguard soap, and Bounce fabric softener? It was a Black man born in my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama. Dr. Herbert Smitherman, who was a physical organic chemist and the first Black person with a doctorate level degree to be hired by Procter and Gamble. So take time, search the web, go to the library, read some books, and find out how other Black people have contributed to the world with their inventions. Don't let these great Black people be forgotten and never remembered. Let's talk about it with our children and our grandchildren. I am very proud to be a Black woman.
Dr. Davis.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She did it again, brother. She did it again.
All right. Well, Sister Lily, I guess I won't say anything else after Dr. Davis had said what he had to say.
Thank you both. Thank you.
We are grateful for you and for all of our viewing audience. Certainly we will keep Miss Miranda in our prayers. Just when you think you have it bad, you find out there is somebody else that just might possibly have it just a little worse.
Yeah.
Davis, any final words?
Be blessed, everyone. Once again, Sister Lily, you did it again. You blessed my heart. Let's talk about it, baby.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, for being a part of what we've done, for sharing with your family and your friends. It's been a great show. We've learned a lot. Certainly, if anyone needs information about how to reach Miss Miranda, please reach out to me. I encourage you to sign her petition and also to support her cause and help her. Let's all get together, see if we can't try to make a difference. Until next week, we've always tried to make sure that the issues that are relevant to our community, that we always talk about. All right.